Welcome to the Apple Everyday Carry channel. My name is John, and today let's walk through a little Apple shortcut that will allow us to make a QR code and then save it to our notes folder. I've called it EDC QR code machine example. I always like to start with a comment, then I dismiss Siri in case I've called it with Siri. Then the first thing we do is create a QR codes tag. That's a tag named QR codes. And we want to make sure we do not open this action when run. Then we ask for text with enter QR code information as our prompt. And we only need one line for that. And then from this information, we generate our QR code and we use medium error correction. Then we copy that to the clipboard and it's fine. It doesn't need to be local only. Then we go ahead and we create our note and we use this text in the first line of the note, so this becomes the title of the note. QR code for whatever text we gave the generator. And in my case, I'm storing this in my EDC Second Brain notes folder, although you can put it anywhere you want. And we do not want it to open when run. Next, we want to append the QR code that we generated into the note we created. And lastly, we add the tag we created to our appended note. It's time to show an alert. Now, if you'd like to download this, there's a link in the description for you to do that. This is the link. I'll click on it, and it shows us what we need here and wants us to set up the shortcut. The only thing we have to fill out is where we want to store our QR code note. The default is the notes folder, but you can click on this and then choose any folder in Apple Notes that you please. All right, time to add the shortcut. Now I have that example already, so it's asking me if I want to replace that one or keep both. Let's just go ahead and keep both. So it's put it into our shortcuts, but it switches to the gallery view here. So come back over here and switch to shortcuts, and there you go, you see it right here. Then if we want to run it, we'll see how it works. The first time we run it, we're going to get a security check, allow EDC QR code machine example to copy to the clipboard. We'll say OK. Then we get our alert message here, QR code copy to the clipboard and note created, note will open next, and there we are. Now let's do an in-depth walkthrough on how we built this shortcut. We'll go ahead and open the shortcut app, and if you don't have this, just go to the App Store and search for Apple Shortcuts. It's made by Apple and it's free. So just download it and you'll be ready to go. So depending on where you left off in your Shortcuts app the last time you used it, you may have a different screen, but we have our first screen, our start screen, and it shows us all of our shortcut folders, not to be confused with notes folders. These are folders that I've built over time as I played around with shortcuts. So let's just go to the All Shortcuts folder, hit the plus sign to create a new shortcut. First thing we should do is name it. Let's go ahead and call this EDC QR code machine. And then while we're here, let's go ahead and choose our icon. I like to make utilities like this gray, but you can make it anything you want. Let's make this one green, just as an example. And the symbol, let's see if they have a QR code symbol. They have a couple. Let's try this one. All right, so now we have that housework out of the way. It's time to add our first action. So we can search for our actions. I have these actions already pinned to the top of our list here. These apps here are apps that have provided shortcut actions for us to use. Now, some of the apps are built in, like the App Store app, but some of them are apps that I've downloaded and purchased, etc. So for example, I have this one app called Cycle Meter, and if I click on here, we can see that Cycle Meter allows us to use several different actions to build shortcuts that can control the cycle meter app. And that's similar with all these other apps that allow us to utilize shortcuts. So our first action is to use a comment, but rather than just clicking on it here, I want to go ahead and search for it because I want to show you something. I'm going to delete this from our pinned list by clicking unpinned. So now let's just search, and you see we get 2 comments. So how do we know which one to use? Well, this second comment is an action for our cycle meter app that we were just talking about. This first comment is the one we want because it relates to Apple shortcuts. You can distinguish the two by their little icons here. If you want to know for sure, you can tap this information circle and it will tell you what this comment does. And you can see this action lets you explain how part of a shortcut works. So this is the one we want. And if we want to pin it to the list, we can just click pin. And now it'll be back on our search list. We definitely want to use this one. I'm just going to tap on it. And it puts it in as the first action in our shortcut. So now let's do our next action. And this one is to dismiss Siri and continue, so that if we actually say, hey Siri, EDC QR code machine, once it runs that for us, it will go away and won't linger in the background. So now let's add a tag that we're going to use in the note that we create. So let's create a tag. There it is. I'm just going to tap on it. I don't really need to pin it. There it is. We'll give the tag a name. Let's call it QR codes. All one word. And by the way, if this tag already exists, it won't make a duplicate. It just used the existing one. We always want to check our little option circle if one exists. And we want to make sure in this case that we do not open when run. Now we've created a tag. Let's go ahead and ask for some input so we know how to tell the QR code what it's going to do. So we're going to ask for input. That's already in my pinned list, so all I have to do is tap it. And let's ask for text with a prompt. Something like that. It can be anything you want. Again, we check. We do not want multiple lines. And then now let's go ahead and generate that QR code. There we are. If you see this little line here, that means that the Shortcuts app assumed that you wanted to generate the QR code from the input that you gave it. And that's correct in this case. We always check with our little option circle. It's set on medium error correction. We could set it on something else, but I just leave it on medium. That seems to work really good. Now that we've got that generated, let's go ahead and copy that QR code to the clipboard, because I find that's really handy when I just use this every day, where I don't want to have to go open my notes to get the QR code. I can just grab it right from the clipboard. So let's copy. Let's go ahead and pin that. I use that quite a lot. There we are. We're going to copy our QR code to clipboard. We'll check our options. It doesn't need to be local. In fact, it's better if it isn't in my case, so I can use it across devices. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and create our note. I've already pinned that one, so I'll just tap it. Create note with, well, the Shortcuts app trying to be helpful isn't really helping us here, because we don't want the note to be with the QR code only. We want the first information here in the note to be the title of the note. So I'm going to just long press on this, and I'm going to clear the variable, and I'm going to just type some text in here, and I'm going to say QR code 4, and now I want to use this information that we inputted up here, so I'll actually know what the QR code is pointing to. So I'm going to come down here to our little chooser, and I'm going to choose Ask for Input. Create note with QR code 4, the input, and then I'm just going to put a curious return there. And now we need to tell it what folder we want to put this note in. So if you just quickly tap on this, it will open up your notes folders and you can choose one. So I'm going to put mine into EDC Second Brain. I don't know why I have two, but I'll just use that top one. and we'll check our options. We do not want to open when run. Now that we've created the note, we need to put the QR code in the note. Now one way we could do that is to come back up here, click at the end, and come back to our chooser and just choose QR code. But I don't really like doing that. It seems to make this a little bit too complicated, and it's easier to see the processes if we just append it. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I've already pinned append to note, so I'll just tap it, and there we have append. We don't want to append the note we created to itself. We actually want to append the QR code. I'm going to long press on that, and I'm going to change this to QR code. And then we have to tell it what note we're talking about. So I'm going to long press and choose the note that we created. Next, we need to add our tag to this note. So we'll come back up here, add tags to note. Tap on that. What tag do we want to add? I'm going to long tap and select the tag we created. And then I'm going to long tap and select the appended note. Well, that's the addition we just made. Okay, now that we've done that, let's show an alert to alert us what we've done. So we got to find show alert. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and pin that while I'm here. I use that one quite a lot. And I'm going to add it. And the text we want should be something that lets us know what's going on. So how about if we say something like QR code copied to clipboard and note created. It will open next, period. Again, let's check our options. We don't need a cancel button for that. Then all we need to do is open the note. So we'll come back here. Let me pin that one. What note do we want to open? We'll long press and we'll choose the add tags to note. Good practice is always to go ahead and stop the shortcut. So let's do that real quick. Stop this shortcut. I'll pin that one and then tap it to add it. We can click this play to run it and see if it works. Okay, enter QR code info. It's good. Then we get our alert, QR code copied to clipboard and note created. It will open next. There's a QR code and there is our tag. I'm going to go down a line and let's just do a paste. And if that QR code pastes, that means we know that the shortcut really did put it on the clipboard. Here's a shortcut that generates a QR code so that it makes it easy for you to share your home or your business Wi-Fi without having to divulge the password. So here's what this one looks like, and in the comment I explain what it does, and then this character string is very important. So I copied and pasted this. I'll show you how to use it down here. We dismiss Syrian continue, and we create a QR code that says QR codes, just like we did before. Make sure that it doesn't run. We ask for text with enter your network name. And again, we don't need multiple lines. Then we set a variable to net name, and that's a name I arbitrarily chose. I just typed it in there. And then I'm setting that to the value that this ask for input action delivered. And there's our little connecting line that the app put in there automatically. So we do it again, but this time we ask for our network password. Don't need multiple lines for that. We create a second variable, and I called it netpw. I'll tap on it and double tap on it and just show you. I just typed it, NETPW. Okay, to this ask for input, which of course is not the same as the network one. So that's where these little connecting lines can be really handy to show you what is going with whom. Then we use the text action. And the text action is very interesting. It acts like a catch-all. It can be used in several different ways, but we're using it now just simply with that character string. And in the character string, I've substituted the network name and the password with the two variables that we created earlier. Then we generated a QR code from this text screen. Generate QR code from text. Check our options. Error correction medium again. We copy it to the clipboard just like before. We create a note, but this time The first line of that note just says home Wi-Fi QR code. And I put that in my second brain. You can put it where you like. We do not open when run. We append our QR code to the note we made. We add our tag to our appended note. We do our show alert Wi-Fi QR copied to clipboard and added to second brain. We don't need the cancel button. And then we open this note. So I'll run it real quick. Enter your network name. My network name is Apple. And then I'm going to enter my password, although never use that. So it's been copied to the clipboard and it's going to open our second brain note. And this is where putting it in notes rather than just saving it as a photo comes to be very handy, because you can just look and see exactly where that QR code is pointing. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.